Chapter 22 Kindred Spirits. The Scheffler Farm, Village of Alban, Summer 1760. The following morning, Junior is heading over to the Bonners to see if they need any help around the farm. As always, he is cutting across the Scheffler's farm to save time. Plus, there is something he needs to return to a friend. As he enters the barnyard, his sidekick appears from inside the barn on horseback and gallops over. "Where are you going?" Riding side by side now, he peers out the corner of his eye. "I could ask the same of you." She glares at him with a confident grin. "You could, but I asked first." He straightens with a shrug. "The Bonners, to see if they be needing any help around the farm." She tightens her grip on the reins, and with a nod, "Sounds good. Let's go. Yah!" As he races to catch up. "Go? But where were you?" "To your house to see if you wanted to go riding." "Well, in that case." "Oh, I almost forgot," he says, reaching into his pocket as they ride. Melinda rides closer. "Forgot what?" Pulling the handkerchief from his pocket. "This. Me da says thanks." She smiles. "You can tell him he's welcome." As he reaches to hand it to her, she pulls her hand back. "I would rather you keep it." "Me?" "Well, sure. You're the one always blowing booger balls, not me." "Booger balls?" She drops her shoulders with a sigh. "That thing you do when you cover one side of your nose and blow boogers out the other. Booger balls. It's gross. So yeah, you need it more than I do." Spreading his arms in protest. "Hey, sometimes I just gotta get 'em out. And now you can wipe your nose on something beside your sleeve." A little embarrassed. "Since you put it that way." "You're welcome. Can we pick up the pace now? I want to feel the wind." And with that, Junior digs in his heels and they race across the countryside. The Bonner Farm, a short while later. When Junior and his sidekick ride up, Flora is playing outside with little JJ, and he is adorable. A huge 5.5-year-old version of his late father, he is as curious and energetic as he can possibly be. Every day while his mother does chores, he always manages to get into mischief. If she is feeding the chickens, he is chasing them. If she is milking a cow, he is tugging the other tit. He is smart, and whatever he sees his mother and grandmother doing, he mimics their actions. Today, she plans to put that mimicry to clever use. As Junior and his sidekick approach, he hollers, "Morning, Miss Flora." She waves as they ride up. "Hey there! To what do we owe the honor?" He slips from his mount. "Just came by to say hello and see if you needed any help around the farm." She wraps them both in a hug. "Actually, I were thinking about taking JJ to do some fishing." Melinda makes a sour face. "Fishing? Aye, things are pretty well in hand around here. So, I were thinking, what would Jeremiah do with his son on a beautiful day such as this?" Still not sold, Melinda throws her head back. "And you came up with fishing?" Junior gives her a stank-eyed glare, then chimes in. "Well, I think it's a fine idea, Miss Flora. In fact, I believe it's exactly what his dad would have done on a day such as this." Melinda rolls her eyes and Flora smiles. "Thank you, Junior. So, does that mean you'll be joining us?" Junior thinks about it for a second, then turns to his sidekick, who is staring back at him with a crinkled nose. He squints his eyes at her, then turns back to Flora. "We'd love to." Melinda stares at him with a growl, and he turns to her. "Come on, it'll be fun." She crosses her arms. "I don't know how to fish, and besides, fish are stinky." "Don't worry, I'll teach you." Flora claps her hands together. "Perfect. While I'm teaching JJ, Junior can be teaching you." Melinda raises her hand. "But Junior throws an arm around his sidekick's shoulder. Come on, Shorty. It'll be fun. You'll see. Flora glares at him with a squint. Shorty? Melinda blurts. That's what he calls me when he's trying to talk me into something. Flora laughs. Shorty, I like it. Melinda leans into her with a hand over her mouth. Me too, but don't be telling him that. Flora nods with a wink. You had me worried. What's that? Flora straightens. She said she'd go, but only because she's nothing better to do. Junior shrugs. Then why whisper? Melinda slaps her hands on her waist. Because I told her you're probably not very good at it. Very good? Me? Are you kidding? I'm the best. Brucetown, Shenandoah Valley, Virginia Colony. A short while later. Flora, JJ, Melinda, and Junior are sitting on the river near his grandparents' old cabin. It had been John Roberts' favorite fishing spot and the very spot where he taught Junior to fish. Now the teacher, Junior shows his sidekick how to bait a hook. So, you take the hook and poke it into the crawler like this, see? Then, run it through him like this until it comes out the other end like this. And there you go. Any questions? Melinda watches intently, then takes a night crawler, struggling with it as it wiggles about, making it difficult, if not impossible, to hold. This slippery sucker won't stay still. Patience, Shorty. Fishing is all about patience. Me dad taught me that. Just take your time, breathe, and it'll be just fine, he says before turning to Flora to see if she needs any help. Melinda grumbles. Urgh. Hearing her growl, Junior looks back at her to find her hands covered with worm guts. What the? I didn't like that one. He laughs. Well, I guess you showed him. Darn tootin'. Reaching for another victim. And try not to squish this one. With a cantankerous grin. Don't worry. If it doesn't cooperate, I'll just squish you instead. He laughs, then throws his line in the water while she continues to struggle. Just stubborn enough not to quit, Melinda persists until her line is finally baited. Got that sucker. Junior turns to her. Let's see. She holds up her line, proudly displaying her baited hook. Looks like your strategy worked. Well done, Shorty. Melinda squints her eyes at him with a tilt of her head. Strategy? Slowly. Strategy. Yeah, that worm saw what you did to his friend and surrendered. Seems to me your strategy worked. Strategy, my hiney. He just knew I'd squish him if he didn't get on that hook. He nods. Exactly. Now toss him in. Melinda throws him a sinister glare, then tosses her line in. What do we do now? He leans back on a rock, crossing his arms and legs. Sit and wait. What else? She peers at the water. Wait. Then looks back at him. For what? Junior's pole bobs hard and he leaps to his feet, rod in hand. For that! Melinda watches wide-eyed as he methodically pulls the fish to shore. Wow! Look at the size of it! Before removing the hook from the trout's mouth, he holds it up for a closer look. Aye, no bad at all. A good 5 pounds, I'd say. As they stand there gazing, Melinda's pole bobs and falls into the water. Still holding his catch, he gestures with his chin in the direction of her line. You got a bite! Quick! Grab your pole and check your line! At a loss, her eyes bug out as she leaps to the shoreline, grabbing her pole before it disappears into the drink. Pole in hand, she stands, shaking it frantically. What do I do? He slaps his hands together, yanking them back and over his head. Give him a tug and set the hook. With a yank of her pole, she shouts, Like this? As the words fly from her lips, the fish flies from the water over her head onto the riverbank behind her. Pole flying from her hands, she stumbles backwards, spinning face first to the ground. Her face buried in mud, Junior shouts. He's on the bank! Grab him! Quick! Before he gets away! With the fish flopping frantically about, Melinda lifts her mud-covered face and scrambles over on all fours to grab the slippery trout. She slaps a hand on it, but to no avail. He is simply too slippery and will not stop moving. Determined, she waits, times it, then leaps forward onto her knees, pouncing on it with both hands. Gotcha! Watching from the bank, Flora shouts, Nice work, Shorty! Well done! Covered with mud and fish slime, she proudly stands displaying her first trout with a golden grin. Thanks, Miss Flora! Walking her through the steps, Junior removes the hook for her, then slides a stick through its gills and plunges the other end of the stick into the water's edge, leaving the trout to flounder in the shallow water, unable to escape. And there you go, your first trout! She holds up her empty line, staring at it with a crinkled nose. Hey, that fish ate my worm! Flora chuckles. Well, that's how it works, silly. The fish eats the worm, and we eat the fish. 'Tis a fair exchange. Disappointed, Melinda sighs. Does that mean I had to put another worm on the hook? Junior laughs. I hate to tell you, Shorty, but that's exactly what that means. As Flora and Junior laugh, JJ's pole flies from his tiny hands into the doldrums and begins floating away as a fish attempts to swim away with it, and Junior shouts, JJ's pole! Quick! Distracted by Melinda, Flora had not been paying attention, and she leaps to her feet. Lordy! Dashing into the river, she sloshes through the water, stumbles, and falls into its numbing cold. Lunging forward, she grabs the rapidly escaping pole before it gets away. Got it! JJ shouts. Yay, Mommy! Like a frozen boulder, she stands there shivering. Oh, holy Christ! This water's bloody cold! Junior points to the water. Miss Flora, there's still a fish on that line. Still dripping, she peers back at the line. Bloody hell! Gathering herself, she places the pole in JJ's hands, then helps him pull the monster's 6-pound fish to shore. Easily the biggest trout of the day thus far. Good Lord Almighty! Look at the size of this thing! Melinda breathes. Wow, that thing's huge! Junior nods. Aye, nice catch, JJ. JJ throws his hands in the air, cheering. Yeah, Mommy! She smiles at him and laughs. I'm no sure if JJ caught that bloody fish or the fish caught me. Melinda giggles. A little of both, I'd say. As Junior is cracking up, I'd say you're right, Shorty. Flora looks at them, still dripping from head to toe. To tell you true, 'tis so bloody hot outside. I'm glad you caught me. That cold water feels good. Junior and his sidekick exchange a glance, and before Junior can get a word out, Melinda jumps into the doldrums. He watches her wide-eyed, then shrugs and jumps in behind her. As she lays neck-deep in the river's refreshing offerings, she turns her attention to JJ and his mother. Oh, my goodness, Miss Flora, you're right. Oh, this is just what I needed. I was starting to feel like a poached egg. Standing in the shallows, Junior spreads his arms and falls face first into the drink, the water swallowing him as he plunges beneath the surface. Popping his head from the water, he stands, flipping an errant strand of hair from his face. Hi, Miss Flora. Best idea ever. After several more refreshing minutes, they return to the bank and continue their fishing, hauling fish to the shore for the next 3 hours. After catching her first, Melinda goes on to catch 3 more, one more than both her teacher and Miss Flora. Once she had caught her first fish and had a little practice baiting her line, she, like the fish she is catching, is hooked, her outlook on fishing taking a 180-degree turn. While Flora catches 3, her real joy was helping her son catch his first fish, making the entire outing a momentous success as it was also the biggest catch of the day. With a bounty of 11 fish, the quartet is ready to head for home. But before they do, they wash off their sweat with another quick plunge. The Bonner Farm, a short while later. Hanging clothes on a line, Berta spots them as they ride up. Spying the string of fish hanging from Junior's horse, she steps forward, hands on her hips.
"Apparently, I'm no the only one can use a line. Lord Almighty, how many did you catch?"
Flora looks at Junior, getting a raised brow and a finger pointed back at her, so she turns to her mother.
"Well, for starters, your grandson caught his first trout, the biggest of the bunch."
Berta takes him from his mother on the horse and sets him down, clapping.
"Wonderful! Well done, young squire."
Flora dismounts.
"And I caught 3 more.
Berta rubs her hands together.
"Well, I ken what we're having for supper."
Junior walks over, holding up the string of fish.
"These 3 fat ones are Miss Berta's, and this one here is JJ's."
Berta examines them closely, then turns to her daughter and grandson, clapping.
"Those are some beauties. We'll be eating good tonight."
Not to be overshadowed, Melinda chimes in.
"Not to brag, but 4 of those suckers are mine."
Berta covers her mouth with both hands, bent over at the knees.
"Heaven's sake, child! 4, you say?"
Junior slaps a hand on Melinda's back, nodding.
"'Tis true. Shorty here outfished the lot of us."
Berta places a hand over her heart, chuckling.
"Am I hearing right? William Jr., the great fisherman, were bested by little Miss Shepler. Say it ain't so."
Melinda proudly straightens, smiling from ear to ear.
"'Tis true, Miss Berta." Then peering at Junior, "But only because I had a good teacher."
Berta smiles warmly.
"Of course you did, dear."
Junior gives Melinda's shoulder a friendly shake.
"Thanks, Shorty."
Then turning to Flora,
"And Jeremiah had a pretty good teacher as well."
She smiles back at him, hands at her hips.
"I tried."
Junior lifts the string again.
"Well, he caught his first fish, didn't he?"
Smiling proudly.
"Aye, he did indeed, lad."
Junior lays the string on the ground, removing all but his own fish. Retaining the string, he stands, tipping his coonskin back as he straightens.
"As good a teacher as ever, it seems to me."
She smiles warmly, patting a hand over her heart. Junior returns the smile and throws the string over his shoulder.
"Well, I reckon Shorty and I'll take these fish and head on home."
As Flora and her mother pick the fish up off the ground, Berta says,
"Junior, let me clean those for you before you go. 'Tis the least I could do for escorting me family to the river."
Junior thinks about it, but only for a second, then slings the string from his shoulder.
"Thank you, Miss Berta. Come on, Shorty. We're going to help Miss Berta clean these fish."
Melinda looks at him confused.
"Clean?" "Aye. Cut out the guts and remove the scales." "Guts? Scales?"
Berta chuckles.
"Dinna worry, lass. 'Tis no nearly as bad as it sounds. Come on, I'll show you. I taught you how to catch 'em. Now Miss Berta's going to show you how to clean 'em. Why don't you clean 'em?"
He leans in, looking her in the eye.
"After today, I'm guessing you consider yourself a fisherman."
She nods proudly, setting herself up for what comes next.
"But here's the thing. You caught 'em, but until you cleaned 'em, you're no real fisherman."
She puckers her lips, staring him down with a stink-eyed glare, growling.
"Mm."
Berta waves.
"Come, lassie, we've fish to clean."
Although not happy about it, Melinda follows her to the trough where she places a couple of planks across the tank from one side to the other. She points.
"Put 'em here, Shorty, and I'll show you how it's done."
Melinda places the fish on one of the planks and watches as Berta skillfully runs her blade from the bottom to the top of the first fish. Splitting it open, she removes the guts, tossing them aside. She picks up another and turns to Melinda.
"So, you take your knife and stick it in the bum like this."
"Bum?"
"Aye, lassie, it's tiny little arse."
Melinda waves her hands.
"Ew. Pay no attention, lass. Just focus on what you're doing and get it done. Now, pick up a fish."
Melinda throws her a squint-eyed glare and with some reluctance picks up one of her fish.
"Now, take your knife and run it from its bum up to right about here, just below the head, like this.
She watches closely as Berta cuts it open, slides her fingers inside, and yanks the guts out, slinging them to the ground. Melinda cringes, throwing up a little in her own mouth. Berta laughs.
"'Tis no as bad as it seems. Here, try."
Melinda takes the knife and plunges the tip into the fish's bum. Holding it steady, she slides the blade up its belly just as she had been shown. With some hesitation, she slides her fingers into its slimy innards, fumbling about with her fingers until she gets a grip, and with a mighty yank, she rips out the guts and flings them to the ground. Berta claps.
"Well done! See? It were no so bad as you thought it were."
To Berta's surprise, Melinda looks at her with a sinister grin.
"Not even a little bit. That was fun. Good. Now do the rest, and I'll show you how to remove the scales."
With that, Melinda proceeds to clean not just her fish, but all of them. When done, Berta demonstrates how to scale them with her blade. Fascinated by the process, Melinda scales her first, then goes on to do the rest. And within the span of a few minutes, save the two Berta clean, she cleans and scales every fish. When finished, she turns to Berta wide-eyed.
"We need to do this again."
Berta chuckles.
"You're welcome any time."
Junior butts in.
"Don't worry, we'll be back."
True to his word, Junior and Melinda returned 2 days later with several reoccurring visits over the summer. Since her husband's passing, life for Berta has been lonely. Although her daughter and grandson have long since moved back into her cabin, the loss of her beloved BB has left an empty place. In little Melinda, Berta has found herself a kindred spirit, a sweet soul with a funny, sarcastic edge. Now in her 70s and far too frail to do all the things she has long enjoyed, she has found a way to enjoy them still by passing her knowledge along to her young friend. The experiences giving her a renewed sense of purpose and filling her dark spaces with joy. For Melinda, Berta's friendship fills a space long abandoned by her deceased grandmother, together forming a special bond. The Shepler Farm, village of Alban. Early morning, 5 weeks later. Summer, 1760. John Shepler is milking his cow when Melinda approaches.
"Guten Morgen, little one."
She gives him a wave, then proceeds to saddle a horse.
"Guten Morgen, father."
"Off to Miss Berta's again?"
"Ja, hintertat. You spent a lot of time there lately."
Melinda stops strapping the saddle, glaring at her father.
"Do you not approve?"
He stops milking and turns to her.
"Nay, I am glad you have a friend in Miss Berta. When will you be home?" "I'm not sure. By supper, I suppose."
"Very well. Be safe, little one." As she finishes strapping her saddle,
"I will."
As he returns to his milking,
"And what will you be doing today?" "Miss Berta is going to teach me how to sew." "To sew? Das ist gut."
She climbs onto her mount.
"Ja, das ist gut."
The Bonner Farm, a short while later. When Melinda knocks on the front door, she is greeted by Berta.
"Come in, child, come in." "Thank you, Miss Berta."
Flora nods from her spot by the fire.
"Morning." "Good morning, Miss Flora. How are you?" "I'm doing well, lass. I'm just getting ready to head to the barn to milk old Betsy."
Melinda's head bobs back, wide-eyed.
"Betsy?"
Berta moves the kettle from the fire to the table.
"Aye, Betsy, our old coo." "Oh, you know, Miss Flora, if you'd like, I'd be happy to milk old Miss Betsy for you."
Flora pauses.
"Have you milked a coo before?" "Of course. Junior taught me. It's easy." "Are you sure you didn't mind?" "Not at all, Miss Flora. I'd be happy to. You ken I could really use the help. Thank you, lass." "Any time, Miss Flora."
And with that, she heads out the door, joyfully skipping her way to the barn with Johnny the Foxhound hot on her trail. Berta watches from the doorway, smiling warmly.
"Such an adorable lass. I really like her. Aye, me too, Ma. She fills a place in me heart like no other. Like the granddaughter you never had. Aye, the granddaughter I never had.
Flora joins her in the doorway.
I ken the feeling. She's like the daughter I'll never have.
Berta turns to her.
God is good, is he no?
She smiles.
Aye, good indeed, Ma.
Meanwhile, in the barn, Melinda is milking old Betsy with Johnny laying in the hay a few feet away, watching as her hands busily squeeze the milk into the bucket. She locks eyes with him.
I wish to thank you for your company, Johnny.
Then peers up at the cow.
And you for your milk, Miss Betsy.
With a lift of her head and a lazy flop of her tail, she moves. As she is starting on the next teat, Johnny's head perks up, followed by a loud screech from across the barnyard. Jumping to her feet, she dashes out the door to see what's wrong. Beating her to the cabin door is Johnny. As she enters, Flora is kneeling on the floor over her mother and she shouts,
What happened?
Flora turns to her.
I did again. 1 minute we were talking and the next she weren't. Quick, child, help me roll her onto her back.
As little JJ screams in the background, Melinda rushes to her aid and they roll Berta onto her back. When they see her mouth and eyes wide open and lifeless, JJ begins wailing in the corner, and Johnny starts howling, matching his little buddy's desperate cries with the same piercing volume. Melinda looks at them, shaking her head, then turns to Flora.
Is she breathing?
Placing an ear near her mother's mouth, Flora listens. Hovering for a moment, she prays for some sign of life, a sound, a hint of her mother's warm breath tickling her ear, anything. She slowly turns her eyes to Melinda, the single tear slipping from her eye telling the tale, and she gasps,
Miss Berta!
And as tears find their way to her cheeks, she cries,
Oh, I'm so sorry, Miss Flora.
The Bonner Farm, 4 days later. Flora finds herself, for her third time now, cloaked in black beneath the canopy of the grand old oak where William shot a buck so many years before. She knew this day would come, but had always assumed it would come much later than it did. Berta's passing a surprise to everyone. Much like her husband, Berta had endeared herself to countless souls over the years, and they have all gathered to say their goodbyes. At graveside, Flora stands flanked by William on one side and Mary on the other, each with an arm around her back. The Albin boys standing quietly in front of the three of them, and little Melinda Shepler squeezed in between Flora and Mary, her little arms around their legs. The rest of the Shepler family is standing at the foot of the grave, with all of Berta's friends surrounding the mighty oak and gravesite. Berta's pine casket is resting at the bottom of her open grave, at the head of which stands a much older and grayer Reverend Gerard, who is addressing the gathering.
And so it is, and it only seems fitting. On this bonny summer day, a day we all ken she would have loved, we lay our beloved Miss Berta to rest. And I tell you this, she is smiling down upon us at this very minute, her beloved baby and her son-in-law Jeremiah standing at her side, and Jesus smiling upon them all.
He looks to heaven.
Go now, sister, and walk on streets of gold, for you are a good and faithful servant. We love you, and we miss you, but we are also rejoicing, for today you walk with the Lord. Amen.
Amen softly rose through the crowd. After the burial, all gather in the barnyard for the traditional breaking of bread and celebration of life. As they all walk over, Junior approaches Melinda, placing his arm around her shoulder.
You all right?
She doesn't look at him. She just continues slowly walking.
I guess. No. But I'll be okay.
He gives her a one-armed hug.
I ken what you're feeling. 'Tis hard losing someone close. It's just that
you never saw anyone die before?
No. Yes. Well, there's that, but no.
What then? tears slowly cascading.
It's just, she was so special, and we were so close, and now she's gone.
He pats her shoulder.
I guess that's why Ma's always saying to be grateful for the time we have, like when Uncle Jeremiah died. I'm grateful. I am. It's just, I don't just miss her. I wanted more time with her. I ken what you mean, Shorty. We all do. She was like a grandma to me, too.
Meanwhile, Flora has walked over and is sitting on the porch of her parents' old cabin, looking at all who have come to pay their respects. Her heart is full, but there is something else eating at her. William is chatting with friends in the barnyard when he spots her sitting alone. He excuses himself and walks over, staring her down as he takes a seat beside her. Silently, he stares at the crowd with her for a moment.
I ken that look.
Eyes still fixed on the crowd, she raises her right brow.
And what look might that be?
He turns to her.
One you get whenever you get to thinking on something.
She nods slowly.
So, what's on your mind, sis? And dinna tell me 'tis your ma, when I ken it ain't.
She turns to him with a sigh.
I reckon ye be knowing me far too well.
William smiles and nods.
I were just thinking what the bloody hell had to do with this farm. 'Tis only JJ and I, after all.
William turns his eyes back to the crowded barnyard.
'Tis a fair question, to be sure. Let me tell you, William, it were hard enough with Ma here. And to be honest, even with Junior and Melinda helping, it were still too much.
William lights his pipe, then pulls it from his lips.
Aye, 'tis a huge undertaking, to be sure. And to be honest, I didn't see any easy solutions. 'Tis just too much. I cannot do it.
William and Mary have already considered her situation and discussed it at great length, but not knowing where she stands, he is reluctant to share their idea.
So, have you considered selling?
Flora turns to him.
Aye, but the trouble is, where would we go? This is our home.
She turns her eyes away in despair. William takes a deep breath, placing a hand on hers.
If and I may, I'd like to share a story with you. You see, many years ago, a handsome young stranger who'd been wandering through the wilderness showed up on a man's farm. Now, the scraggly bearded farmer were skeptical at first, but took pity on the stranger and brought him in from the cold.
Flora smiles and a tear slips from her eye.
He gave that handsome young fellow a home, work, and welcomed him into his family.
She places her other hand on his, squeezing it, tears welling and falling.
I said to myself then, if ever there came a time when I could do the same for another, I'd do so with a grateful heart.
She looks him in the eyes, crying and smiling.
I ken this has been your home for many a year, and it were me home for quite a spell as well. But here's the thing, sis. Home's where your heart is, and your hearts, you and JJ, belong with family, our family.
She breaks down a little, squeezing his hand ever tighter.
Sis, Mary and I have discussed it, and we'd like you to live with us. But William, there's no room for us. Ah, but there is. Sell this place and come live in the boys' cabin. You'll have your own place, but will still be close enough for me to be a pain in your arse. But what if John and Robert? Don't worry about them. They'll be fine. They're getting older now anyways, and I honestly don't see them sticking around much longer anyways. Until then, they can move back into our cabin. But William, I can't do that to you. There's no like we haven't lived together before. We'll be fine. Besides, how could any of us carry on with you and JJ out there all alone? Sell it and come live with us. What do you say?
With a nod, she wraps him in a hug.
Thank you.
In the weeks that follow, Flora sells her parents' farm and, with help from friends, moves into John and Robert's cabin on the Alban farm, a cabin they were all too happy to give up for their Aunt Flora. And just as William said, their move back into the family cabin was seamless. With a roof over their heads, family nearby, and the money received from the sale of the farm, she and JJ will be able to live comfortably for years to come.